Hey everyone, this is Audra Miller. We're just getting started. I see that there's people that are about to log in but aren't viewing yet, so I'm just going to wait a couple seconds. I hope you're all doing well on this beautiful June Wednesday. It's sunny in Sonoma County. It's starting to heat up a little bit here. And today we're going to be doing a webinar. Uh-oh. Just getting some feedback. Okay. All right, so that's a good note. I just heard feedback in my headphones. So quick little tip that you'll see on the recording is just to turn your sound off on your computer if you're using headphones, because otherwise you'll hear yourself repeating back from the webinar. Okay, so I want to open just by saying if you are new to Google Hangouts, if you're on the screen, you can move your arrow over and you'll see a little bar pop up on the left side of the screen. The blue box on the top is a chat where you can leave comments and questions. The green bar is where your screen share. So I'll use that later as I show you how to build a webinar. The blue Q&A is where you can add a question, and then whoever is presenting can answer there, and then the question will be resolved. The comment box, the top blue one, the chat box, just continues to build as it goes with questions and answers. The camera can capture a moment, so I'm going to click it right now. And now I'll have that saved in my downloads or my photos later on. And then there are some others that are here for settings. And this is also live streaming on YouTube. So it's a webinar on the Google Hangout On Air where people can participate, but it is a live stream on YouTube. So people cannot participate, but they can see it live. And then the recording is kept there as well. All right, so I see that a couple more people are logging in. That's great, welcome. And I'm just letting people know that there's the chat function, the blue chat on the top left, and the Q&A function. And those are the ways that you can communicate with me. So one of the things that always happens is as you're clicking these buttons and things, you'll see me moving around and my eyes looking. And that does happen when you're on a live webinar and you're managing it yourself. So this is better for more casual or personal webinars versus a very super professional webinar where people wouldn't see you managing those things. And you might have someone else that's managing that behind the scenes for you. Okay, so I think we have our viewers logged in and we're ready to go. And so I'm going to officially start the webinar now. Good afternoon, this is Audra Miller. I am the Career and Community Engagement Manager at the California Institute of Integral Studies. Most of our participants today are CIIS students, alumni, staff, or other community members. But this is a live and public webinar, and I do believe we will have some friends and supporters who will either join us today live or watch the recording later on. So I'm going to give information to both audiences here. And generally it's the same, but there are a few things that are special for CIIS students and alumni. So I'll let you know about those as we go. One of the special things for CIIS participants is that this is the beginning of our summer webinar series. So for the first time, the Center for Career and Community Engagement is offering a summer webinar series where students and alumni can actually participate and give your own webinar. So this is the start of that to show you how you build your own webinar. I'm going to give you very specific details about how to start, create, build, engage your audience, and then tips on how to actually speak when you're on the webinar, things like that. If you are a student or alumni and you're thinking about participating in this, I truly encourage you to do this. You're going to get one-on-one time with me. I will help you to develop not only the technical aspects, but your content, help you build your confidence or answer any questions. It could be kind of scary to do all of this at once because everything's brand new. So we are going to hold your hand through that process, and I hope that you will take this opportunity and join me. I do want to announce that I will no longer be in this position after July. So I'm happy to help you do that now, and I may not be able to do that at CIIS for you in the future. Although I'm on lots of social media, and you can always connect and stay in touch with me. And as many of you know, I am a PhD student in East-West psychology at CIIS, and so I will still be available and in the community and happy to connect with you. So if you are thinking about that, as you take notes through this webinar, just jot things down that come to mind in terms of content or ideas that you have. Even if you're like, no way, I'm never doing a webinar. I just want to learn how to do this right now, but I'm not going to deliver it yet. Just start taking those notes down. You might get really inspired. And then schedule a phone call with me and we can just talk about it. Even if you decide you don't want to do the webinar, that's fine. But I think it can be a great tool in your toolkit as you go forward. Now, public audience members, if you're thinking, hey, how can I deliver a webinar at CIIS? You can also do that. One of two ways. If we have a limited number of students and alumni who will participate this summer, we may have open slots for you. Most of these webinars will take place in July on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. If you are not available during the summer or would like to schedule for the fall, we also have openings for the fall. Generally, we schedule presenters who have information to give on career and professional development. And you can view all of our previous events on YouTube. All of the recordings are there. Just search in the YouTube search bar for CIIS Career Development, and you'll find all the videos and previous presenters. If you're interested in that, you can always email me at amiller@ciis.edu. And as I mentioned before, if I'm no longer in this position, which will be ending at the end of July, you can always contact the Center for Career and Community Engagement for any of these opportunities at careerdevelopment@ciis.edu. Okay, so I think that's all the introductions. Tip number one that I'm going to give you is I have actually created on my whiteboard in front of me my outline. So you'll see me looking at that as we go forward. So that's my way. I don't, when I speak to audiences, I don't type everything out that I'm going to say. For me, it's best to just have an outline with bullet marks so I remember and it keeps me on track. But I'm much better at just speaking normally. And that can be scary for some people because you have to truly be yourself, which means I can totally mess up, make mistakes, or forget what I'm saying. But for me, it's much easier to just speak authentically than to read from paper. So I'm happy and I take the risk of making those mistakes and taking a moment to just collect myself. And maybe you'll get to see me do that today. All right, so I'm just checking my outline here. So we've talked about the webinar series. I did mention about the questions and comments, but I want to refresh everyone because I know we have new viewers now. If you take your arrow and scroll on the screen, you'll see a bar pop up on the left. There's a blue chat box and there's a blue Q&A box. So you can enter your questions there at any time during the webinar. And I will check in with you and remind you how to do that and see if I can answer questions as we go. So I'm just going to check it now. Could somebody that's viewing actually give me a test and say something in the group chat function? Maybe you can just introduce yourself there. Now the group chat, everyone will see. The question and answer, I believe I will see, but you may not. Okay, so I'm hoping someone's going to introduce themselves on the group chat function. Take your time, and I will say hello to you as soon as you do introduce yourself. Okay, so creating your webinar. Why would you want to do this in the first place? Well, a lot of people have a lot to say. They have a message they want to share with the world or things that they can teach other people. You can do a webinar or teach on anything that you know about or have already previously done. Now, someone I was talking to earlier, a student who might be doing a webinar, you know, she was talking about some content that she has that she could deliver based on a class that she took. And that is all well and good. It's great to share any information that you have that somebody else would be interested in. If you haven't used that information yourself, if you haven't delivered that, or if you haven't, you know, for example, if I was doing this about how to create your Google webinar today, but I hadn't actually delivered a webinar myself, the only caveat there is that people might ask me questions that I might not be able to answer. But one of the wonderful things about the internet is Google is just one click away, and you can always search for anything that you need to know about how to deliver things online. So really, the world is your oyster. Everything is available, and it's just having the next step that you need to take. So you could be one step ahead of someone else. Give them the information to go from island A to island B. Today we're learning about a webinar, and I'm going to help you set that up, and then you'll be able to learn, you'll be able to create your own webinar and potentially teach people how to do that later on. Now, I said earlier that this is a more casual or informal way to deliver webinars, because as you can see, I'm at home, I'm on my couch, my dog might join me at any time, and you'll see me actually controlling on the computer while I'm delivering the webinar. There are other webinar formats that you can use out there, some free and some paid. Some can be much more complex than others. And so I like Google Hangouts as a way that I can just put something together and get it out there. But it does not include a registration link. People can say yes, no, or maybe they're attending. Now, if you said, yes, I'm attending before an hour ago today, then you got a message from me on Google that said, hey, we'll be live in an hour. So I do have access to see who's participating if they've said yes, and I can email them. However, many of you did not say yes until the hour before. So if you are building a business and you would like to create a list with those people who are participating with you, then you may need to use a different webinar system that allows for registrations to happen so that you can communicate with those people well before your webinar and well after, and you can build them into your business and create engagement with them. I'm just hearing some noise outside, so I hope that that doesn't become an interference here, but I'm just going to apologize if it does. Okay, so one of the ways that you can use a webinar is if you're thinking about being a teacher, a speaker, a public figure of any sort, then speaking is the way to get your message out, to get your information out. Of course, you can write, you can use your website or your blog, but speaking gives somebody the experience of being with you. They can hear your voice, they can see your mannerisms, they feel like you're in the room with them when you're on a webinar. The same as if you were actually speaking to them in a live audience. So I find that it's a little bit of a different impact, right? And then the other thing is I can screen share with you. So later on, I'm going to actually show you the steps to take to create your own webinar on Google Hangouts On Air. And you'll see what I'm doing on my screen. You can't necessarily do that in a live audience. You can, but it might not be the same. And if you were to be writing about it, you would need to take screenshots of the information and then put images into the content. So I'll talk a little bit more about screenshots later, but keep that in mind as a tool that you can use both as a presenter and as a participant. Okay, so the requirements for creating a webinar with Google Hangouts On Air is basically you need to have a computer, you need to have a camera, you need to have a microphone, and I'm on a Mac computer today on a laptop, so my camera is built into my system. And I would be able to do this without my headphones, but the audio doesn't come through as nicely on your end if I'm not using the headphones. And I have just seen that on other people's webinars, and so I've just taken that tip for myself that I'm just going to always use my headphones. It might not look as pretty, but hey, c'est la vie. All right. So other requirements, if you're on a Windows computer, your camera will probably look different. You may need to use a camera that plugs into your laptop or your desktop. And in that case, you will want to do test runs to make sure that your camera is speaking to your Google Hangouts account. I have done this before, and it can get a little tricky, so you just kind of have to troubleshoot it. And if it doesn't work, you try again. Turn the camera off, turn it back on, take the plug out, plug it back in. And Google will say, we've recognized a camera, and then you'll just have to click some buttons and follow the steps. So if you have a Windows laptop and you're a student thinking about presenting this summer, you may want to come and see me on campus with your computer and your camera, and we can plug it in and try it out. The other thing is that you can rent AV equipment through the computer lab, and you can borrow one of the cameras there and plug it into your computer. So that might be helpful to some of you. And if you have any trouble with that, you can let me know or email careerdevelopment@CIIS. So generally, if your computer is new enough and it's fast enough, the other thing is you want to have a great internet connection, which made me just think that I am on Wi-Fi right now, and I could potentially plug my computer in to the internet so that I make sure that I don't lose you at any point. So that might be something that you do at home or at work. So your setup is important. You can see that I'm sitting down. You might want to stand, but you want to have a clear understanding of what's going to be in your background. So you can see my trees hanging on the wall back here and my pillows on the couch. I like to have it be casual and comfortable. You might want to have it be a little bit more professional. Some people that I see do videos with just a blank white wall behind them. And then you're really just focusing on the person. And it does depend on where the computer or the camera is situated. So you're getting my profile from my chest up and over my head. If I was closer, you might just see my face, but then I'm kind of getting really close and you can see the things that are going on in my face, and that can be distracting. So those are things you want to just try out, because the other thing is you'll notice, I just noticed myself doing this. Here's tip number 2, is that you will find yourself watching yourself in the video. So you can see right now I'm looking at the video, and right now I'm looking directly at the camera. So that's going to happen. It's just part of the show. You may want to look directly at the camera the whole time and be comfortable with that, or you may want to continue to watch yourself. I find myself going back and forth. One quick note too, this is tip number 3, is that your clothing does matter when you're in a video. And I think you should try on something that you're going to wear and look at yourself in the video and how you'll see how people will see you or perceive you. I've chosen to wear black today, and I have long sleeves on. I have a good friend that's a photographer, and she always said, if you want to look best on camera, wear black and wear long sleeves. If you wear prints, it's going to be a little bit more distracting. Maybe that's something you're going for, but it's just something to think about. I gave a little flash with my earrings today, so it felt like I have a little style going on, but it's not going to be too distracting while I'm speaking. All right, I'm just going to check on our questions. Nobody has entered in the group chat. If you can hear me and you see the group chat, then, oh, I see questions, so that's great, it's working. Okay, so Stephanie, hi Stephanie, nice to hear from you. You don't have access to group chat because you're viewing through YouTube. Okay, so yes, there are 2 ways to view. I mentioned this maybe before you logged on, so I'll mention it again, is that the Google Hangouts On Air is a live webinar. So you're here and you're able to participate and enter in the group chat and ask questions. If you're viewing the live web stream on YouTube channel, which is also a possibility, and occasionally there are some glitches with the Google Hangouts, and I've had to jump over to YouTube to watch a video before because something with my internet connection wasn't working. And that's totally fine, but then you will only have the question function. All right, so I'm going to resolve that one. Oh, I'm sorry. That question was from Rachel, not Stephanie. But I see Stephanie has said hello. So hi, Stephanie. Hi, Rachel. Okay. Michelle says, hi, Audra and everyone. Thanks for the information and opportunity to help us bring our vision and content to others. Hi, Michelle. And we have Mylin. Thanks for sharing knowledge and giving us tools. Great. So it looks like some of you are seeing those questions as well, and you're liking them. So that's wonderful. Good. So let me just check on my outline, make sure I gave you everything in the creating your webinar section. Okay, so I talked a little bit about my outline and how I have set that up on a whiteboard in front of my computer so I can view it while I'm giving the talk. You probably want to create an outline or type out your whole thing. So we talked about that earlier, but that preparation piece is really up to you. It's what is going to be best for you as a presenter. And if you don't know which one you would want to use, then whether you're going to do just an outline with bullet points or you're going to type the whole script out, I would say try it and do both and practice with a friend. You can do a Google chat where it looks very similar to this, but it's not a group. It's just one or two people that are with you and it's not recorded. And they can give you feedback on that. So if that's something you want to try out and you're thinking about presenting at CIIS, we could do that. You could prepare, you know, a little 5-minute thing and set up your environment. We can log on and I can give you immediate feedback about what I'm seeing and hearing. Great. So practice, 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 as you know. One of the things that I do now is I don't practice. So this is, again, something that you'll have to sort of trial and error with. But for me, I find that if I practice, I actually like get myself tripped up while I'm actually delivering the event. Now, you might say, okay, Audra, you've already made some mistakes. Maybe you should have practiced a little more. But for me, it feels I have more confidence when I have my outline, I have rehearsed in my mind, maybe I've spoken things out loud to myself, but I have not run through the whole thing. One of the things that having a script written out from top to bottom or practicing every single word you're going to say, one of the things that does that's a negative to me is it cuts out your intuition. And then when somebody puts a question in the box, you're thrown off. You're like, oh no, and then you got to get back to your script. So it could be really useful for you, or it could be a distraction or a challenge. So those are things you want to try on for size while you're practicing. I talk about this with students and private clients often, is that when you're building a resume or cover letter or you're building your LinkedIn profile, you want to think about what's the essence of you that you're delivering through this medium. And the same thing goes here when you're on a webinar. So you can put all the technical details into a document, into a presentation, and people still will not feel you. Okay, so that's what I mean by essence. Who are you and what are you bringing to the table right now? So I just try to be as present as possible with you. And one of the ways I do that is through just having my outline, but not practicing, and being mindful before I present. So today I ate lunch, so I made sure my belly wasn't grumbling. And then I went for a quick little walk with my dog, and I did some breathing, just was outside enjoying the sunshine. And that's what I did right before the webinar. That's what got me back to center, took all the other distractions away so that I can try to bring as much essence to you as possible during this webinar. Takeaways. Takeaways are a great thing to include in your presentation. It is something that people can either write down, they can tweet, they can throw it on their Facebook. It might be a template that you give to them. One of the ways that we have shared documents and templates during other webinars that we've delivered with our guest presenters is to put all of those files into a Google Documents folder and then share that folder with presenters. And you can just post the link to the folder and put it up on the group chat or put it up on your screen and people can see it. And then they'll go to the folder and access the documents. So that's one way you could share a template on here. Another way is that you could just have PowerPoint slides. Now, I haven't done screen sharing with you yet, and I have chosen not to do a PowerPoint today because I'm going to just walk you through creating the webinar via Google. So I'm not going to show you pictures. I'm going to show you how I'm actually doing it in real live time. But if you wanted to use a PowerPoint, you can totally do that. Anything that's on your screen, when you click the screen share button, your audience is going to see. So let me just do that right now for a second so you get a feel for it. So I'm going to click the green screen share button on the left side. And when you're a presenter, you'll see that. And then I'm going to take you to my new website that I'm building. All right, so now you can see my screen share. And you can see this is my new web page that I'm working on. And then I can just turn that back off. On the top of my screen as a presenter right now, it says you are screen sharing. Stop, present to everyone. So now I will click stop, and it's taking just a second. And here I am back with you again. All right, so that's an example of how you screen share. Okay, so just to get back on track for myself, I was talking about takeaways. So on the screen share, if you notice, I have just showed you my website. Now you might be like, Audra's got a new website. You're gonna go check it out. Maybe you sign up for my list. That could be a takeaway. That could be a takeaway for you because we stay in touch. That could be a takeaway for me as the presenter because I'm adding you to my email list. So that's tip number 4. Your takeaways. Use those strategically. They could be gifts completely of service from your heart to someone else, or it could be an invitation into a bigger relationship. And if you're thinking about ways that you are going to use your webinar in your career, your professional development, or in building your own website or business, those are all things that I work with students during our coaching consultations and sessions. And if you are a student, you can check out our information on my CIIS. Go to the Career and Community Engagement page under the Student Life tab, and you can fill out the form and request a session with me. Now, as I said earlier, I will continue at CIIS through July 31st. So if you would like to meet with me personally, then you should fill out that form soon, and we will get you scheduled by the end of July. And any of the things that I'm talking about today, whether it's the webinar or other tips or something has struck your fancy and you're inspired and want to know more, we can talk about that in a consultation that we schedule with each other. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, we've gone through sort of some tips on setting up what you need to set up your webinar, what you need to think about before you're actually going live. Now I'm going to take you in to actually build the webinar. And I also want to share with you some information about marketing to your audience before your webinar and engaging your participants. So quickly, before I build the webinar, can someone enter in a question or comment in the questions field and let me know what has been most inspiring to you or most surprising from this presentation thus far? So one of the ways that you engage participants is to ask them to participate. Often people are just going to be quiet, and that's totally fine. But when you ask them, you've given them permission. So just reminding them that you would like to engage, you want to be with them, you want to talk and respond and engage. Just asking them can be the thing that they need. Secondly, asking very specific questions that they can respond to. So I just gave you a question of, what is the most inspiring or surprising thing that you've learned so far? Or maybe you have a complaint. You can tell me that too. Any comments or questions are great. And then make sure that you respond to them and take a break to check on your Q&A and your comments section so that if you're asking people to participate, you're actually following up with them. When you're a new presenter, you might find yourself sort of asking the question, but then not following up because you're continuing on with your content. So it could be helpful to actually insert into your outline, check on Q&A, or respond to questions or comments so that you remind yourself to do that. Okay, I'm not getting any questions, so I'm going to move on to the next thing. And just to remind you, here's another thing that you can do is remind your participants of how to enter their questions and comments. So to remind you, there is when you move your arrow across the screen, a little bar that pops up on your left, and there's a chat or a Q&A. They're both blue. And if you're on YouTube, I think it's just a button where you, I'm going to just check that so I make sure I tell you the right thing. So on YouTube, you can just make a comment, I believe. Yes. Okay, so I'm just working with my computer here. 1 second while I get back on track. All right. All right, you're doing great so far. Don't have any questions. Great, thank you. Okay, perfect. So I see you, and things seem to be going well. I'm glad you're here with me. Thank you for responding and engaging with me. Okay, so I'm going to screen share with you now, and we're going to start to build our webinar. So when you click screen share, this is just a side note here, because I'm in presenter mode, I can see these things, and you cannot. So I'm going to just describe them to you. But when you're practicing, you will see these things for yourself. Okay, and Mylan's asking a question. Do you have any suggestions on how to use this when you're using PowerPoint? So this is a great question, and I'm going to respond to it right now. So when I click screen share, I get a little box on my screen, and it has 5 options for me to pick from. It has some of my open web pages. It has me speaking, the Hangout, or it has the entire screen. So I'm going to click entire screen, and this is what you could also do. Or if your PowerPoint was already open, well, isn't that funny? It's just a perpetual video going on there. So you should now be able to see me moving around on the screen. You can see my web page here. You can see that I'm in Chrome. So if you were to use a PowerPoint presentation, you would have your PowerPoint open and ready to go before you start your presentation. And then when you screen share, you can click on the PowerPoint, and they may for a moment see all of the PowerPoint functionality, and you would just click start your slideshow. And then you'll click through, and that's what they'll see on the video. This is something you could do in your practice session, create your own Google Hangouts on Air practice session, have it be recording, and screen share your PowerPoint presentation, and then go back to make sure that it's working correctly. All right, so I'm just going to move this around so I make sure, yep, you can see it. And now you can see today's event on the page. So bring your voice. So you can see right now the yellow button, it is live, but you don't see my picture. Sometimes you'll see the video playing here. I think it's probably because of my internet connection. If you click on it though, you would see the screen pop up with the video, and you can see all the comments and things here. So just to point out a few things before we actually create a new event, because this event has lots of content in it already, is that we have added a description on the right side here, because this is what people see even before the video is live. So you see our profile, you see the picture of the event, and then you see everybody who has signed up, who's logged in, who says, yes, I'm going to watch this video. People have asked questions, and you want to make sure you're following up with people. I want to apologize if I got back to anybody a little bit late. I was trying to keep up with everything, but I think some of you, I may not have commented quickly enough back to you. So I hope that you got the information you needed before we got on live today. And then here on the right side, you can click message, and this will message all the viewers. You can see here that you can click yes or haven't responded. And so I would just click yes, and I'm actually going to send you a message right now. Sending live test message. Come on back to this link to see the recording later. All right, so then you're going to see that you actually get that in your email box. All right. So I'm going to go to your events. Actually, before that, I'm going to back up. On the top right of your screen, so clearly if you're using Google Hangouts, you need to have a Google profile. So assuming you have a Google profile, on the top right, you can toggle back and forth between two things. Now, this is a really important step because when we first started delivering Google Hangouts on Air, we got a little confused, and I think this was the glitch. When you click on this, you see that the email, careerdevelopment@CIIS@gmail, is logged in, but I also have a Google Plus page. You can create events on both, but they will be different kinds of events. This event that's coming to you live today is through the Google Plus page, and you'll see it says My Business. So your email is your personal email account or your business email account. The Google Plus page is your public profile. That's where you want to have your events. Now, if you have created your event and you go back in to check on it or edit it, and you're like, oh no, my event is not here. This happened to me yesterday again, even though I know what to expect. It may be because you need to toggle back to this profile. So if I click career development right now, it opens a new page. We're going to give it a second to load. And I can go over to the left. Now, this is just a hover over. You don't need to click until you're on the item you want to click. I click events, and I have no events. So this is me yesterday looking at my events going, oh no, I have no event. Where did it go? So then I realized, oh yes, okay, I've got a toggle. So I'm going to go back up to my ID and click on the Google Plus page. You'll now see that popping up, CIIS Career Development, and it alerts you at the top of the page. You're now using Google Plus as CIIS Career Development page. Okay, great. Now if I hover over the left side, I get my events. I click on it, and I see my event, and I see all the past events that we have held. So this is a little trick that took us a little trial and error and a lot of troubleshooting time to figure out. And it seems really simple, but if you don't know it, it can get you kind of tripped up. So it's good to remember that if you have any trouble, to just go back and toggle and see if it's on the other profile page that you have. Okay, so I'm going to bring you back to the events page, and I'm going to click create an event. You can also try plan a hangout, and these things might be helpful for you to just go through and click around and figure them out for yourself. Now I've opened this up. Oh, and you know what? I think I'm doing this incorrectly, so I'm going to back out. I do want to click plan a hangout. Okay, so you would create your event title. Let's say I'm going to do Health and Wealth Wednesday webinar with Audra. I'm going to have event options. Now you can have this be totally public where people can add to it, participate, or you can hide it and make it more private. You can do advanced and do Hangouts, which is an event that is online only, or show more options. Now you show more options and you see that these fields have jumped open here, so you can add more information. I don't usually use a lot of this. I use just the details option, so I'm going to click that off so you don't see it anymore. I've just clicked on Hangouts, which brings you back to how do you create a hangout on Google. So this is a great page to find answers for how you're going to create a hangout. Okay, so one of the things that I want to share with you right now is that there are two differences, and excuse me, I'm getting tripped up on my words. There are two types of hangouts. There's a hangout and there's a hangout on Air. So you should see me writing this. Now, Hangouts can be used for webinars, but it will not be recorded. That might be something you prefer. It's a one-time event. People have to be there. If they don't see it, it's lost forever. Hangout on Air is the one that will be recorded and automatically uploaded onto YouTube. So you can see that this is a Hangout right now, not a Hangout on Air. So I'm going to click invite, and then I'm not going to actually follow through with this, but you could invite your circles, or you could put in people's email addresses here. My husband's giving me a thumbs up. I'm doing a good job. All right. Let's click on Create Event just to show you what this looks like. So you could also create an event that would be in person. Maybe I wanted to create an event at CIIS and invite people. So Google has that functionality as well. I'm going to cancel out of that. Okay, so we're going to go on to the left side of the screen again. If you want your recording, you want your presentation to be recorded and uploaded to YouTube, go back to Hangouts. And on the top of your screen, you have you have Home, Hangouts on Air, and Video Hangouts. For your automatically recorded webinar presentation, you want to click on Hangouts on Air. Now we see this pop up, and it gives us information about it. It says if you host a Hangout on Air, you broadcast live on Google and YouTube. Oh, and your website. I actually didn't know I could do that, so we'll have to learn more about that and share it next time around. You can engage with your audience via question and answer, customize it, and your recordings will be uploaded to YouTube. So you can see below here that my video with my picture is live here. I sent you a test message. This is happening right now. There are 10 people watching. We've clicked yes, we're going. And you can see other events that are happening as well. So back to the top, this yellow button, create a Hangout on Air. This is what we want to click. Now, if you've already created the event that was just the Hangout, it could be fine if you don't want the recording. But remember, you have to go to Hangout on Air and create your event there to have the recording automatically upload to YouTube. So now we would just fill in this information. So let's do Health and Wealth Wednesday webinar with Audra. Give them some details here about your event. Remember, you can always update it later. I'm going to click later, and it's going to give me the option to choose a date. So I'll choose July 1st at noon, in 2 weeks at noon, for 30 minutes. This is a public event. I can also add more people. So when I click in this field, I can add my circles. So if you are not very engaged on Google so far, you may not have any circles. That would be something you want to do to build up your presence on Google so that when you do create an event, you can just plug people in. So my circles and my extended circles is what I'm going to add here. And then I'm going to share the event. Now you see that the event is created, and we have a new page that looks similar to the one we looked at earlier for the event that we're having right now. There's not much detail, so you can go back in and edit this event and put in more information. You can also change the theme. If you didn't see that, I'll just open this again. You can upload your own photo here. So you can use one of the themes that they've given you, or click on your photos. And we'll just use this picture of me. It says I can only select pictures that are 1200 by 300 pixels. So that one's not going to work for me. Or I could edit that photo to be the correct size. If you click select photo from your computer, my computer's thinking about it, but you can select your own photo and upload it. So it gives me a pop-down menu. You go to photos, and you can pick something that would go in there. So I'm going to cancel. We just rebooted our computer, so I don't know what photos are going to pop up there. So we're not going to do that right now, but you can do that on your own. All right, once you have your event created and you want to share it with people, you've gotten all your details in there, then you can click Share Event. If you haven't done that already, you can add more people, you can add a comment. You can also scroll down and say something in the comment box. You've seen this before because we've done it on the event we're on now, where people say, I had some questions before this event that I wanted to share with you. One person said, will I get an email before the event? And then I responded in this comment box saying, yes, I'll send one to you in about an hour before the event. So this is a way that you can engage people right away. Now, I would say my engagement with you prior to the event was, it was okay. It wasn't wonderful. I was answering your questions and trying to be available, but I wasn't proactively seeking you out, you know, making sure you were going to get on. So it depends on who your audience is and how you want to engage with them, how much you're going to try to have their participation before the event, or if you're going to just say, all right, whoever shows up, and that's great. You might have some, you know, elaborate marketing plan for launching your webinar, or it might just be a simple thing that you want to share with people. Okay, so I am going to, at the bottom of my screen right now as a presenter, it says Google Hangouts is sharing your screen, stop sharing. So I'm going to click that so that I can go back to the main video screen. And I see the green light on my computer come back on, so I know it's working, so that I can check on our questions. So you can see me again. Okay, so it says, Stephanie has asked, where is the webinar posted on YouTube? Is there an option to post it directly to your channel, or does Google decide for you? So great question, Stephanie. You need to have your YouTube channel set up prior to your Google Hangouts on Air. So I will actually take you over. I'm going to screen share again and show you our YouTube channel quickly. Okay, so I had it preloaded here, so now you can see it's a little bit of a lag behind, but YouTube, so I have our channel, which is CIIS Career Development, and that was already set up. I just search for that, and then you can find the video and see that it's live now right here. So you can go to our channel and you can see all of our videos. You see this, the brand new event that I just showed you how to create is already here, and you can set a reminder. And then you can look at the video that's live currently. So you do need to have that set up prior, and then you just, it automatically happens. You don't have to do any of this on your own. That's the great thing about Google Hangouts on Air, is that it just does it for you. Okay, so I'm going to stop screen sharing again and come back to you. Okay, so I answered that question. Let's make sure I get all these questions done. Okay, so another thing about, I meant to mention this earlier, and it was on my list and I didn't tell you. So one of the things that you can use as a presenter, if you don't want to do live things, you could use a PowerPoint where you have your images pre-loaded before the event, or you could use screenshots of things. So while I was creating the event, or right now even, I could take a screenshot. On Mac, it's Command-Shift-3. And it just takes a still picture of everything that's on your screen, and it's uploaded into your downloads or your photos folder on your computer. So that's another way that you could actually capture what you're doing on your computer screen before you use it. All right, so we don't have any other questions now. I'm just going to encourage you, this is the time where we're coming towards the end of the hour. If you do have any questions or comments, now would be the time to get it in so that I can respond to you directly on the video. I just want to run through a couple of last things about marketing. So one of the things I've found that can get confusing is we all use Google, we all use Facebook. We've created Facebook events prior to our Google Hangouts for most of our events. Now, the confusing thing with that is then you have 2 event pages. So I've actually decided that the Center for Career and Community Engagement will probably just use the Google Plus events page and provide a link to that on Facebook, on our Facebook page, but not create a Facebook event. Because then you've created 2 event pages that you have to manage and 2 event pages that you share. Then you get participants that are split. Some of them are going to Facebook and some of them are going to Google. And it can get a little bit confusing and be a lot more to manage than you might want. So I would suggest that you, once you create the event, really build up your event page on the Google Plus profile, and then just share that link on Facebook and on Twitter and on LinkedIn and in your emails. Use the one event page to streamline how you're marketing. Keep it simple is the best thing to know, because the more things you've got going on, the more you have to keep track of. And I just try to keep it as simple as possible. So on your event page, you also saw those comments that people can make. They can ask questions, so you can start to build your participation early on. So anytime you're building participation before the event, that's marketing. People are going to be more likely to show up if you have already touched base with them, answered their questions, followed up, sent them a message and a reminder. They're more likely to show up for your event. And we did talk about this earlier, but be sure to send a reminder. All those people who have said, yes, I'm attending, send them a message. It's right on your event page as a presenter, and it's easy to do. Okay, so we have one more question. How easy is it to take down a posted webinar on YouTube once it's posted? Great question. So we did actually have this happen with one of our webinars. We had a guest presenter who we told them beforehand that it would be live and recorded on YouTube. And once they saw it on YouTube, they said, oh no, take it down. I can't have it be live. I didn't know it was going to be public. You can go into the settings of a video on YouTube. I don't have, it's going to take me 1 second. I'm going to screen share with you again so that I can show you the YouTube page. Once you go into YouTube and you have your video, I guess I should have kept this page open for you so I could just swing back there. Let's go to an old video that's already live with 3 keys to aligning your career with life purpose with Isabelle Perichou. She's from France. Oh, it's actually starting, so we're going to pause that. She did a great job. She just had a white background behind her. So it's also great to look at these videos from the past and see how people did it. You can see what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And you see that she's gotten 185 views now. So she actually didn't have high participation during the live webinar, but she had it later on, which was great. So when you are on this video page, you can go to Video Manager. Now, YouTube can get quite complex. So I think that I can do this quickly. But 3 keys to aligning is down here. We would check that off, and the actions would be to make it public, unlisted, private, and then there's some other things you can delete. I'm going to keep it public, but this is where you could make it private or unlisted. Now, unlisted means that it's still available, but only with the link. Everybody on YouTube will not be able to find it, but you would be able to send it to people. Private means that, I think I got those mixed up. So unlisted, private is not listed at all. Unlisted is not listed at all. Public is listed on YouTube. Private, no one would be able to view it unless you gave them permission. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. I'm just going to swing back over to our video here 1 second. Okay, so I think that answered the question about how easy is it to take down your YouTube once it's done. Now, for students, if you are thinking about presenting during the webinar series and you don't like the video, you don't like how it came out and you want to take it down, or you only want to leave it up there for a month and then you want to take it down later, you would have to contact us. You're not going to be able to go in yourself and delete that because it will be on our YouTube channel, not yours. But on your public events, whatever you do on your own, you can go in and work with those settings and delete or make it private. All right, so we have one more question here. I learned Google gives preference in searches to people or businesses who have Google Plus pages. Is this true? So, you know, I can't tell you the actual answer to that question, but I can say that in my experience, I have also heard that rumor. So the more you hear a rumor about Google and their new ways of being, or Facebook, the more I find that it is actually true. Because often things like that come out when people get frustrated with things. So Google uses SEO, search engine optimization, for the foundation of how it works. And so if you have a Google Plus page, then there is more information about you or your business that is on Google. So Google likes its own information first, right? So if you have a Google Plus page, there's more information that's already in the Google database for it to attach to. If you don't have a Google Plus page, if you just have a Facebook page, then it would be determined on how many people have actually searched for your Facebook page on Google. So I don't think it's that it gives you preference necessarily, but it has more content for its data miners to go through and find keywords, and then it bumps you up when people are looking for you. So I think it's kind of true. I don't know all the technicalities of that, and I hope I answered your question somewhat adequately. And what is the recommended minimum maximum length of time for a webinar? So today's webinar is 1 hour, and you can see that we're coming up in the last 3 minutes here, and I've gone through a lot of content, and there were actually a couple things on my list that I need to tell you before we go. So it kind of depends on how much content you have to offer, depends on how many participants you have and how much time you want to engage with them in question and answer. If you have a, you know, I follow somebody online who does tips, and her videos are anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. They're very short. And she literally gets on, she introduces herself, she gives you the tip, and she gets off. And that's it. It's not a webinar, it's just a video. But you know, if you had a 10-minute video on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it may not take you that long, but somebody's just learned how to make that sandwich. So, you know, it's who's your audience, what's the content you want to deliver, and how do you think that you can best do that? So I would think about your topic, how you want to deliver it, how much you have to say. I think under an hour is always best. For live webinars, I generally find that they are 1 hour. But you could do something shorter. And for students who are thinking about presenting this summer, or anybody who's thinking about presenting, it doesn't have to be an hour. It could be a half an hour. It could be 15 minutes. All right, so I don't see any other questions. So I'm gonna just close out today by sharing a couple of next steps with you. So if you are interested in presenting in the summer webinar series, then you need to submit your application. We didn't really give it a deadline, but I'd love to have them by next Friday. So, okay, another question popped up. Great question. So if you decide to do a webinar through the series, are you also able to post it to your own YouTube channel? So I believe that yes, you can. We would have to work on how you would do that. Either you would share the video from CIIS Career Development to your channel, or you would download it onto your computer, save it, and re-upload it onto your own channel. But I do think it's best to use one video. Like Isabel has now created, she's added that video to her playlist of videos on her YouTube channel. So there are ways that we can connect it. I think it's best to keep one video online rather than two though. but you could download it and re-upload it if you absolutely wanted to. Great question. So if you are going to submit an application, I encourage you to do that by next Friday. If you have questions or would like to have support in developing your application or your webinar, or you're not sure what your next steps would be, you can email careerdevelopment@ciis.edu and set up a just 15 or 30-minute conversation where we can touch base, and I can answer all your questions. There's been an email that's gone out with the application requirements, but the basic information we need is a title, description, a bio of who you are. We're encouraging that you offer a webinar that is around career and professional development skills, techniques, tips, systems, processes, anything to do with career and professional development. Now, at CIIS, that could be a wide range of things. So don't automatically think that your idea is out. Let's talk about it if you're concerned. So basic information, contact information for you, your name, how long the video will be, and which dates you prefer. We're doing these Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in the month of July. If you are a public person and you're interested in presenting, but you don't want to do it right now during the summer webinar series, you can be in touch with us via careerdevelopment@ciis.edu and just send us a short proposal about what you think you might present on, and we'll be scheduling the fall webinar series pretty soon. And I've mentioned before that I'll be starting my own private coaching, and you saw my website a little bit earlier, so you can check that out if you're interested. It's audramillerinc.com. So AUDRAMILLERINC.com. And there, if you are a public person, you would like to pursue career coaching or learn something new, or just stay in touch, you can sign up for my list, and you'll get a free gift of a free coaching consultation with me. And again, students, go onto the My CIIS page to schedule your session, or just email us, one or the other, and we'll let you know what steps to take. All right, I got to thank you. So it looks like everyone has gotten the information. I hope that this was useful. I look forward to answering your questions, and I encourage you to present in our summer webinar series. So I can't wait to talk to you about that and get your application. I hope you all have a great summer, and I can't wait to see or talk or connect with each one of you again soon. Namaste.